Hello, welcome once again to Stuff and Things, where I like to talk about stuff and occasionally even things. I'm your good friend Bradley, and today, I'm tired. It's been a very, very long week. We'll get into that in a bit, but thank you so much for watching this week's Sunday Stuff and Things. You find me in the Stuff and Things apartment because I was just recording a video that entailed guitars and computers and all that kind of stuff. So I couldn't go to Stuff and Things Studio, so this is where we are this week. And this week we have some stuff and things to talk about, including a movie that I watched with my fiance that ended up really surprising me in a way that I wasn't intending. We'll get into that. The long week that I just sort of suffered through. I don't want to lay it on too thickly, but it was a pretty rough week. We'll get into a little bit about the Seahawks and the Titans and how horribly disappointing that loss was. But mostly, this is going to be a viewer question extravaganza. Where can I put this stuff? I don't have my table. We have lots of good questions from you guys out there, and I want to get to as many of them as possible in this week's Sunday Stuff and Things. So, buckle in. Okay, I forgot to mention in the run of show that, of course, we will be talking about upcoming videos. I can't even, my lips are tired. Every part of my body is tired. So this week on Stuff and Things, you can look forward to a guitar video. It's the 9-month guitar challenge, month 5 check-in. Just recorded that. Working on the same songs that you've been seeing if you've been watching that series, some new techniques, string bending, different kinds of chord shapes and progressions and scales and all that stuff. But mostly in that video, I was focusing on, kind of where I am with the songs I've been learning. And then the next major hurdle for me is standing up while playing guitar, which sounds so dumb and doesn't seem like it should be a big deal, but it certainly ended up being a big deal for me. I just never really stand when I play, and for some reason, it's really difficult for me. So I talk about that a bit in that video and try to play a little bit. I've got this guitar here. This is not my electric guitar. I wonder if I can play, let's see. I've never actually tried to play Black Dog, the Led Zeppelin song that I've been working on acoustic. This neck is not as fast. I don't know if I'll be able to do this. Kinda. Okay, the answer is no. I can't really play that on my acoustic guitar, and that's not really what the acoustic guitar is for. But anyway, this Wednesday, the 9-month guitar challenge check-in number 5, I guess, or for month number 5, will be playing, or will be premiering, or you'll be able to watch it. And then, of course, the Valheim series is still continuing on Stuff and Things Plays. Getting close to the end, though, gang, so enjoy it while you can. We have a question about Valheim in the Ask Stuff and Things section of the show, so we'll be getting into a little bit more about that. But yeah, that's what you can look forward to. And then, of course, we have the Mississippi River Special Reserve Flake review will be coming up next week. I held it off till next week because based on the calendar, the guitar checkup or check-in should have been this Wednesday. How many of you have ever seen the cartoon film, Plague Dogs? It's based on the Douglas Adams novel of the same name. The novel was, I think, late 70s, and then the cartoon was early 80s, something like that. I had never seen it. As a little child, I can remember my parents renting Watership Down several times, and I watched that several times. That was Adams' first novel about a bunch of rabbits living in the countryside in England. Great novel. Not as great of a cartoon, I don't think. But my fiance and I recently, as she loves watching all the Criterion List movies, she's working her way through the entire list of the Criterion collection, and Watership Down and Plague Dogs were on that list. We watched Watership Down. She was kind of lukewarm on it. And then she was kind of annoyed by how bleak it was, even though it has a fairly happy ending. And then I said, well, don't worry. Plague Dogs is not so bleak. It actually has a fun ending, and we should watch that next, because I had only read the book. And I don't want to spoil everything for you, because you should at least read the book, because it's very good. Well, I read it as a young teen, so I don't know how much resonance it would have if you're reading it as an adult for the first time, but when I was 14, I thought it was great. But we watched the film, and it's super bleak and really depressing. It's about these poor dogs who are being experimented upon in this government research center, kind of in this nature reserve in the Lake District in the UK. They escape, they have a friendship, they're trying to survive out there. One of them, Snitter, used to have an owner who he thought was killed, and then he was put into this research center. They've screwed with his brain, so he has these strange visions. Rolf, who is some sort of lab mix, has never known anything other than the life inside this research facility, so he distrusts humans. And anyway, these things happen, horrible things keep happening. But I kept saying, well, don't worry, just wait till the end, wait till the end. And then the end came, and it was still horribly depressing, and it was not the same ending as in the book. And so I felt slightly betrayed. Usually, if you watch a film, they will do the opposite. If the book has a really bleak ending, the film, if they're going to change anything, they would probably change it to be more positive in the film. But this took a fairly positive ending in the book and changed it to a much bleaker ending in the film. And I don't know if that's just a result of this late 70s, early 80s, everything sucks mentality. If you watch films from that era, things are usually rather bleak. But I was slightly annoyed. I mean, not even really annoyed, but I guess I had promised my fiancée Diamond something, and then it did not turn out to be the case, and she was left feeling rather desolate after we finished that film. So if any of you have seen that, I guess don't put spoilers in the comments, but I had heard actually that maybe the ending in the film was the original ending that Adams had in mind, and then he changed it for the publication of the novel, so they were sort of putting it back to what his original vision would be, but I think I much preferred the ending in the book. I think there's more of a narrative arc and a resonance to it, the way it ends in the book, as opposed to the film. Anyway, poor dogs. Okay, and the long week, let's just get this out of the way. I don't want to complain too much, but I am so bone tired right now. It was actually probably a 2-week period where there was a huge time pressure on the project we were doing. The project ended up being way more complicated than we had initially expected because the contractor didn't really know what he was doing, and we were working on plans that were then altered in the middle of our project, and so we had to retrofit a bunch of stuff. Pressure from getting things inspected in time, pressure because we're building in the Lake Whatcom watershed, and you basically had to have the part that we were doing done by the 1st of October, and just a huge amount of stress and labor and just strenuous, bone-wearying work. And it was rough. And it's been very hard for me to do anything other than just get off work, and I've been getting off work late pretty much every day, and then just sort of collapsing and vegging out. And so much of my life is not about my work. It's about everything I do besides working. And so when you have a week like that, when pretty much it's just entirely about work, it kind of sucks. All the normal things that I would do, like record gameplay episodes after work and edit things and do all that stuff, didn't really get to do that this week. Hopefully I can kind of recover this weekend and just sleep a lot and relax a lot and do things that I enjoy doing. It was interesting though, because on Friday we had a People Ready person come, and I don't know what kind of organizations you may have where you live or if any of you have anything like this, but there's an organization called People Ready where people who are sort of down on their luck or in a sort of transitionary period in their life can apply to this service, and if you need help, if you need labor, you can hire one of those people through this service. It's kind of like a temp agency, but it's more for kind of blue-collar sort of workers. And we have hired people from there in the past, for a day or two here and there. And generally, you're not going to get the best people usually. out of maybe 9 or 10 people who we've had out on the job, maybe 1 or 2 have actually been decent workers. But it really struck me on Friday. This guy showed up, and the job we needed him to do, which was the job that my brother and I had been doing, was stripping this foundation and packing these big 8-foot by 2-foot forms around. And, you're slogging through the mud. You're doing some pretty physical, hard labor. And he showed up, he got dropped off, and he was very overweight. And that immediately showed me that this might not work out too well. But we started, I was like, okay, here's what we're doing. Have you done any construction work? Not really. Okay, well, we're going to be stripping these forms off, and you need to carry them and stack them, and basically just showed him what to do. And he, within about 5-10 minutes, was just sopping wet with sweat. His sweatpants looked as though he had just put them in a bathtub filled with water and then slipped them on. Same with his shirt. His face was just covered. He looked like he was going to have a heart attack. And he came up to me after maybe 20 minutes and just said, I don't know if I can do this kind of work. And so I had to be, I could say, okay, just go home then, but we needed help. And so I tried to get him doing other things that would still be helpful, but maybe not as strenuous. And I managed to get him to come along for, 4 hours. He left at noon. But it really struck me how most people aren't used to doing physical labor. And I know that's not any sort of amazing revelation or anything, but especially nowadays, so many people have office jobs or jobs that are inside and sedentary, and to actually be able to use your body and the strength of your body, even, it doesn't really matter how strong you are, because this guy he could lift the forms, he could move the material. He just didn't, and obviously he was out of shape, but he just didn't know how to use his body in a physical way. And it's kind of weird. And that's one, I guess, benefit of my job, and it's something that I try not to take for granted, is it's physical. And there's some mental aspect to it as well, but most of my mental stimulation is outside of work. But I know how to use my body. For whatever that's worth. It's just kind of interesting. All right, and I have to mention it, the Seahawks versus the Titans. Every time I am somewhat hopeful during one of these Sunday Stuff and Things videos, and when I talk about the Seahawks, when the football season is going on, I think, oh yeah, maybe they'll do all right. I think I said they might end up in the divisional round of the playoffs. Of course, that was based on 1 week where they looked really good in week 1. And then it seems like every time I do that, something like this happens, where they were leading the entire game. They were ahead by, 14, 15 points in the fourth quarter, and they still ended up losing in overtime. The defense has some issues. The offense sort of sputtered out for a couple quarters there. I don't know. Do I think this means that they're done this year? No, I don't think that means that they're done. I think they could still be good, but they're going to have to figure some things out on defense. Their pass rush is okay. Their secondary is not great. The offense is good. I think the offense is good enough. It's just a matter of the defense kind of playing up to their potential and playing up to the offense's output. So we shall see. I'm not going to make any more predictions. I'm not going to say that I think they'll do well. I'm not going to say I think they'll do poorly either, but I just don't know. We'll have to see. But all right, gang, I mentioned that we have lots of questions from you, the viewers. Thank you so much for sending them in. If you would like to ask me a question, you can tweet at @SATBradley with the hashtag askstuffandthings, or you can leave comments on YouTube videos. I try to go through there and pick out questions as well. And if you are a Patreon supporter, you can answer or ask me questions on there. But first, via Twitter, we have a question from Christopher Ramsey at BriarBear78. Christopher says, Hey Bradley, been watching your YouTube channel for a few years now. My first question. A few years ago, you introduced a friend, Chance, to the hobby. Is he still in the picture? And if so, did it go anywhere? Is he still in the hobby? Thanks. So many people ask about Chance, and it's really interesting. We are still friends. We still see each other. Hadn't seen each other much through the whole COVID stuff, but I actually just hung out with him last weekend. We went and got some coffee and caught up. And Diamond and I are actually going to see him this evening. We're going to go out and have a drink at a brewery and have some food. But I don't think he really does the pipe thing very often. I hadn't even asked him, the last time I saw him. But I don't think he smokes either, so he's fine. Not everybody's going to be into the pipe hobby, and that's okay. Next, via YouTube from our good friend and Patreon supporter, Ashes of the Phoenix. Ashes says, what is the worst tease you have ever had? Also, when or how long did you first try Elizabethan and realize it was your favorite blend? Did I already answer this? I think I thought I had already answered this question. If I did, I'm sorry that I included it this week, but thank you for the question, Ashes. I thought I had answered this and that I had said that Captain Black was my worst, or was one of the worst blends I've ever had, and that Elizabethan, it took a couple tins. I hope I didn't accidentally repeat some of these questions, but we'll see. Next, from Serge L. No, damn it. This one I've already answered. This is Serge L. But this one I think is new. This is from Farmer Fox. Okay, just bought first pipe. Nothing fancy. Hand carved. Came with like an aluminum to protect the pot. Can I take that out? Do other pipes have protection like that? Thanks, cool vid. I'm not totally clear on what you mean here, but some pipes have what you could call like a stinger or an inner tube. The Dunhill inner tube kind of thing was where there would be a little aluminum cylinder going from the stem into the bowl, the bottom of the bowl of the pipe. I always take those out. I don't use those. I don't think they hurt anything. I don't think they necessarily help anything. Some people think it makes the smoke cooler. I don't really see that. I've tried it with and without. If it's something different than that, then I'm not sure exactly what you mean. An aluminum to protect the pot. So maybe you can write in and clarify that question. But if you mean a little inner tube, a cylindrical bit of aluminum that goes from the stem into the bottom of the bowl, then typically I don't use those. I don't think they're necessarily needed. Next, from Kinslow Rainier. I really enjoyed both of your videos on the Traveler's Notebooks. They were instrumental when I bought my full-size one 2 years ago. I know this is several years later, but do you still use them? Also, what would it be like using this as a wallet? I believe he means the passport size of the Midori Traveler's Notebook, and carrying it in your back pocket all the time. Maybe with just the craft folder, plastic zipper pocket, and one notebook insert. Thanks. Well, I do use my notebooks. I don't use the full-size one as much as I used to, but I still use this one quite a bit. Here it is. This has, how many inserts in it right now? Oh! Hold on. Things are flying. It has got one, I guess it's only got 2 inserts at the moment, and then it has the zipper pocket, as he mentioned, and I do have the craft folder as well. So this is not that much thicker than it would be with only 1 insert, and you may be able to tell that it's pretty thick. And this is not something that I would carry around in my back pocket, but just unplugged my audio, but maybe you could. Here is my butt, here is my pocket, here is the Midori passport size notebook. I mean, yeah, you could do that, but I don't know that I would. I don't typically like having things here. I carry a slim wallet in my front pocket most of the time, but it's doable. And depending on how big your pockets are, how big your butt is, it could be fine. Next, we have a question from Only Tanner. Only Tanner says, not sure if you saw from other comments or online somewhere, but Valheim just had its first major content update that came out a few days ago. That being said, I wouldn't blame you if you would want to take a break and play something else. Ha ha ha. I'm playing through it again right now, and there's not really anything major that changed, mostly just quality of life items improvements. Either way, I'm looking forward to how you wrap up the series. Thanks for the question, Only Tanner, and I knew this question would come up because, as I've mentioned several times, all of my gameplay videos are recorded about a month in advance. I try to keep myself with a month buffer for those videos, so I finished the Valheim series a while back, finished recording it and editing it. The full series hasn't aired yet, and so I think there are 6 more episodes, maybe? I'll have to check that, I can't remember for sure. By the time I had finished it, this new update hadn't come out. I think it's called the Hearth and Home update. And I don't intend to come back to it yet, but maybe we'll do a little check-in at some point during the next series which I've already started recording. It's very exciting. I think you guys are gonna like it a lot, so stay tuned for that. But we probably will check in on the Hearth and Home update. And as Valheim is an early access game, we probably will check in periodically when there are more content updates. Thank you for the question, Only Tanner. Now from Dan Pasco. This was interesting. I included this because I had no idea what he was talking about, and I had to look it up. Don Pasco, sorry, did I say Dan? Don says, hey Bradley, are you going to follow the Seattle Kraken this year? What the Kraken? Who are the Kraken? Who released the Kraken? And I looked it up. I had no idea that this was a thing. And apparently Seattle has an NHL team now, National Hockey League team. That's weird. I didn't know that was happening, but that's kind of cool. I don't know a thing about hockey. I have never seen a hockey game in my entire life. I used to play floor hockey occasionally as a child, but that was just, basically involved beating on each other for fun. Yeah, I don't know hockey, don't watch hockey, never followed hockey. Hockey was never a thing in the Pacific Northwest when I was a kid, and some people might find that weird because we're so close to Canada, but there was never any culture of hockey here. The winters never got cold enough that there would be frozen ponds or anything like that. I don't know if that's necessary for people to be into hockey. But in the Northeast, there are teams, and it seems like people are really aware of hockey. In the Northwest, I guess now there's a team, but there never had been before, and no one really talked about hockey or cared anything about hockey here. So yeah, maybe that'll change now that the Seattle Kraken are on the scene, but we shall see. I doubt I'll follow them though. Next, or last, from Scuba Steve. I know you cannot monetize these videos. He was talking about a Sunday video, but why does YouTube get to run ads on your video? So I just wanted to clear this up, and I think I've mentioned this before, but the Sunday videos I do try to monetize. I try to keep them monetizable, if that's a word. It's the videos that are specifically about pipes and the pipe hobbies or pipe blends. Those ones I can't monetize. So on a video like this, you will see ads, and I'll get a little bit of that. I mean, it's not much, obviously. So thank you for watching, and maybe even clicking those ads if you want to. But on the other videos, I don't even try to monetize those because it never works. I never get any monetization out of them if they're primarily about pipes or pipe blends or things like that. I think YouTube does still run ads on those sometimes, but I don't see any of that. It's kind of like that if I have a video that has a copywritten song, then they may still put ads on it, but I don't get the ad revenue. It usually will go to the artist. It's, I guess, kind of similar with if there are videos that are considered unmonetizable, YouTube may still monetize them, but I don't get the revenue from that. So anyway, Sunday videos, try to keep them monetized. I had one a few weeks ago that was not monetized. I don't know why. There was nothing in it at all that I would consider, in violation of their monetization standards. But just to clear that up for y'all out there. Thank you so much for the questions, everybody. Please keep them coming, like I mentioned, at SAT Bradley with the hashtag askstuffandthings, or via YouTube comments or Patreon messages. But before we go, it's time for the very best part of the show, and that is where we thank you, the Patreon supporters out there who make all of this possible. The fancy camera that is filming this video right now, these lights that are shining upon me, blends that I get for review, other products, all that good stuff. The Adobe Creative Cloud subscription that I have every month, which is not cheap, by the way, to help edit these videos. You make that all possible through your support via Patreon. If you would like to support the channel or channels, there is a link in the description box below. But this week, we would like to thank those who have supported the channel at $25 or more a month. People like Kirk Crompton, Private Eye, Glenn, Jason Buckner, a very good friend, Jen O'Side, John Leone, Gloria Phillips, Ryan McFadin, Matt Marino, Joe Heaphy, and MD of the North. MD of the North. And then, of course, the Maniacs. People like Peter Straub, our good friend, Bob Magee, David Gaudreau, the luxurious bastard himself, and our newest friend, Ashes of the Phoenix. Thank you all so much for your support. Thank you all so much for watching, for liking, subscribing, do all that good stuff. Stay tuned for the 9-month guitar challenge, month 5 update video coming up this Wednesday. Valheim every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Stuff and Things Plays. Mississippi River Special Reserve Flake on next Wednesday. But until next time, until we meet again, I've been a good friend, Bradley. You've been the audience. This has been very pleasant Sunday Stuff and Things. I'm very tired. I'll see you later.
If I could put time in a bottle.